Hey guys, Expert Layman here. I'd planned on creating all my characters this weekend, and it seemed like a good time to do a class breakdown. We'll start with the Warlock here. There's a lot of difference in Classic WoW than in other games if you haven't played it or you didn't play it much, or you played a later version of it. There's a lot of specialization. There are classes that are just way better at doing certain things than any other class. And then there's also the other end of the spectrum where there's classes that are just absolutely horrible. Examples. Warriors are miserable to level. They have basically no self-healing, and they can't do much damage. And the commodity they use, rage, that they use to use their special abilities, they got to take damage to use it. And without self-healing, it's miserable to level a warrior. But they are the only viable raid tank until you got stuff on farm. So it's like you got to go through leveling a warrior to have a warrior, and most people won't go through it because it's just miserable. But on the other hand, you have a hunter, which is the absolute best farming, easiest leveling character. But every raid has like twice as many hunters as like you need, and it gets kind of ugly. And a lot of hunters don't have the pet control needed to keep from wiping groups. So this was in vanilla WoW, but there was some anti-hunter bigotry going on, and it was kind of justified. Well, those are two extreme examples, but I was going to use the hunter again, because that's what I started with on original WoW, but I've decided to go with this guy right here, the Warlock. Mainly because they have a lot of raid utility. They have the ritual of summoning, which lets you bring people not into an instance, but outside the instance. And they have the Soul Stone, which is whoever you put that on, can pop back up again after they die. It's raid recovery. And back in vanilla, there was the Shaman's Ankh, and there was divine. I think there was divine intervention. I don't know. I didn't do alliance on vanilla, so I'm only going to be doing horde stuff. Stay where I know. But and the Warlock does decent damage, and they have decent threat control as long as you go Affliction. And that's the other thing with Warcraft. Don't expect a lot of options when it's time to raid. Pretty much every class has one viable raid spec. Now you're going to find videos of people like, hey, I tanked with my shaman or whatever. It's like, yeah, when everybody in the raid is like over geared for it, yeah, you can squeeze weird stuff into the mix and it'll work. But when you're just trying to get the stuff figured out, like just getting 40 people to work together to accomplish anything is a miracle. Trying to do something that's actually difficult, I don't know, that's even further. But the Warlock is also really good for leveling and farming, having the pet that can tank. Now the pet's damage is terrible and its threat generation is weak, but the Warlock does have one significantly overpowered ability. He has a fear that I forget the duration. It's like depends on the level, but it's between like 12 and like 24 seconds. It can be long, and there's no cooldown on it, and there's no diminished returns. Now, I imagine there was a point where there was no diminished returns in PvP. I don't think that's probably not going to be included in this version. But if it is, it's just freaking ridiculous. You just dot them, fear them. Oh, they got out of the fear them again. Oh, got out of the fear them again. Just do that till they're dead. So it got a little terrible. Plus, the Soul Stone is nice for PvP. I'm not a big PvPer, but it's a good class to PvP on. It's a good class to raid on. It's kind of like best all around, but some people have a little trouble with like keeping up the dot rotation and making sure to keep the priest or whoever soul stoned and not letting your pet get out of control. So, it is a slightly higher echelon of skill. It's not like a mage where your viable raid spec is just casting frost bolts over and over again. At least you get to mix it up a little bit, but it also requires a little bit more skill to do it right. And since your dots just tend to keep ticking, when you pull aggro, you pull hard. So it's like you continue hitting them after you already stopped, and you can irritate some tanks. It's also really nice for just like, farming elites, because the no diminished return on fear means you keep them feared, keep them dotted, keep some distance in between you and them. I think Death Coil was in vanilla, which is kind of like your oh shit get out of my face button if they break fear quickly. I joined World of Warcraft. I don't know the date. What I do know is I was heading to Daenerys about the time that event for the opening of the gates of Anakaraj, where you had the giant Anubis outside the city and like multiple raids of Horde and Alliance, everybody trying to tag it so that, when it gets down, they get... it was insane. And that's when I came in, so... But the Warlock is kind of fun. Keeping things fear-kited is fun. It's good if you get jumped. Also, the racial. I went with the undead because the ability to break fear is really nice. They have a small amount of shadow resistance. It's probably not the kind of thing that's going to make a difference in any fight that you're ever in. But you're also a smaller target. Now that's a thing in WoW. Like, I will only play a Tauren if I absolutely have to, because you're just so easy to click on. And I know a lot of, better players tab target, but just being more visible is a problem in PvP. And just moving through doors. Like, there's literal doors every class can go through mounted except the Tauren. So being smaller is helpful, having raid utility is helpful. Being able to solo and quest. And the other thing is if you're using your Void Walker to tank, or you're keeping things fear-kited, you're not taking too many hits, so you save a little money on durability loss. Now what I was going to do with him is I was going to make him a Tailor Enchanter, and as soon as I get through the starting area, I'm just going to go find humans and farm them, so I can make cloth stuff that I can disenchant and start making my own wand. And as soon as I can, I'm getting down and farming wool as soon as I get to that, because that is the bottleneck for so many things. What class should I work on next? Definitely Horde. Definitely male. Well, let's do the warrior. Let's go in order here. Now, there's a little debate here, because Taurens have increased maximum health, and they have the War Stomp. And again, the nature resistance that comes with your class is basically insignificant. But the War Stomp is nice when you're tanking. And I'm going to be talking about a warrior as a tank, because DPS warriors don't do all that much DPS, and they die a lot. But sometimes in your raid, it's nice to have a DPS warrior who's kind of like a hybrid spec. He's not doing that much damage, but when things go sideways, or you need an extra tank, it's nice to have him around. So there is a little niche for a non-tank warrior. But if you're going to go through the effort of leveling a warrior, you may as well tank with him. And the War Stomp is kind of nice, just buys you a second. It's really nice for the healer, too. If you're getting low and your healer's got a big heal coming, you can buy them that, extra, half a second. And having the most health of, all the tanks, assuming the same gear, that has a lot of utility. The reason that I'm going to go with the undead is basically because the Tauren is huge, a huge target. I'm going to be streaming this at 30 frames per second, not because of any hardware limitation, unless you consider my brain part of the system, in that I get motion sickness in 60 frames per second gaming, sometimes in 30. It depends if I'm running around inside and stuff. Rocket League isn't a problem, because on ball view, something about having that as a focal point just pretty much removes the issue. In fact, if I go off ball view for too long, I start getting dizzy and nauseous. So somehow having the smaller character reduces that. So I'm going to play the disabled card there. But in another direction, it's nice to have a fear break as a tank. Getting feared as a tank. Now, a lot of bosses that'll fear will typically target everyone on their aggro list except the first person, but it does happen. And if you're tanking a Nixia, stance dancing, I did tank a Nixia a couple times. I was a backup tank, and let me tell you, tanking a 40-man raid that goes on for a long time, that's a white knuckler, especially when you're a little undergeared for it. But having an extra way to break that fear in phase 3, really helpful, and generally pretty helpful. They don't, and as far as leveling, and then you have the shadow resistance, but being able to consume corpses to regenerate your health doesn't seem like that much. But when you're a warrior, you get your rage from taking damage. Otherwise, you're just auto-attacking. I mean, you get some rage from dealing damage, but being able to regenerate your health cost-free is actually a lot bigger. Because health regen, you're used to games where it's like, okay, I got done fighting. I haven't taken any damage for 5-10 seconds. Time for that health bar to shimmy all the way up to the top. Oh, no. At half health, I remember it could take minutes for it to regenerate all the way up. And you don't regenerate while you're in combat. That stays wherever it's at. So this is part of why warriors are just miserable to level. Even if you're going to DPS spec. Plus you have a lot of pain in the ass class quests for your warrior. That's another thing I should cover. There are class quests for the warlock, but I'm a little foggy on those at the moment. I don't remember them being that bad. Also, there are times where you get knocked in the water while you're tanking, and you actually have them in a decent position, and you'd rather not have to move them again, roll the dice on what's going to happen when you do that. And being able to stay underwater longer while you're tanking will come in handy sometimes, although, fairly rarely. But the fear break is the big one. That's the one that will help a lot. And for me, it's the size. So I got to come up with a new name, because when you run in when you play all the classes, it gets a little confusing. People in your guild trying to keep track of who you are. So all my characters start with Talon. Now, I had a Tauren for my warrior in original WoW. So he was Talon Horn. I know, clever. I have no idea what this guy should be. So I just be lame and do Talon Shield. He's going to be a tank. Yes. That will work just fine. Now normally I'd be trying to make him look like my old characters, but since I didn't have a undead warrior, alright, I'm just going to try to make him look relatively normal. Is there one without the freaking... Oh, wait. Isn't there a smooth one here somewhere? Let me go buy it. There we go. I kind of like that. Extra creepy. Yeah, I'm going with that. Oh. Yeah, there we go. Talon Shield. That is my warrior. Recommend, if you're going to try to level a warrior and you're playing with anybody else, you each create a warrior and priest, because that's actually a good combination together, because then the warrior can go in and take more damage and have the rage to deal more damage, and the priest, who just... They're not great for leveling either. I mean, if you can have a 1 near your level, it's not too bad. But they run out of mana quickly, and they don't deal all that much damage. But if you can just level as a twosome and just trade back and forth, riding out the rest bonus, that is probably the best way to get your warrior and priest up to max level. I mean, obviously you can go in and run dungeons and stuff, and I don't know what the toxicity is going to be like in World of Warcraft Classic, but it's going to be like 1,000,000 DPS. So if you're bringing your own priest and your healer and tank, you kind of get to decide what happens. People generally won't challenge you especially if they see you in the same guild. They'll tend to be on their best behavior because, yeah, it's hard getting the healer and tank. So jerks tend to be on their best behavior. But that is my warrior. Who should I make next? Well, I will make my hunter. And I'm not going to use the original name. The original name was something from a D&D character that I made while not entirely rational. Oh, let me put this a little closer. Okay. So I will call him what I called him on some of the private servers. I mean, what I would have called him if I had participated on private servers. Talonbow. And for some reason, the last time I did it on an orc. And I think I am going to do it on an orc again. Because, like, your pet's threat is terrible. By the time, if you're in, like, Molten Core gear, you basically, unless you spec Beast Mastery, you're going to, pull mobs off your pet just with auto shot. But while you're leveling, having your pets deal a little bit more damage, pretty helpful. I haven't entirely decided. Now the Blood Rage, I thought that was just melee damage. I'm pretty sure it is. Maybe they reduced it to melee, I don't know. But I'm definitely not doing a Tarn. Out of curiosity, I don't know. I suppose if you're looking at raid viability, it's better to be a troll, because the attack speed bonus affects your bow speed, the bow speed bonus affects your bow speed. The orc is a better farmer, and okay, well, that was nice. Let's try that again. The orc is a better farmer because they're better with their pets. And if you're going to have... If you're going to choose a character that is the absolute best at farming, wouldn't you kind of want to have access to the ultimate version of that? Oh, I got to do it again, huh? So I think I'm going to go orc again. And one of the nice thing about having resistance to stun effects is nice, but unless you're watching the combat log, you never realize when you're benefiting from it, kind of making it hard to appreciate. I am thinking about the troll. Because I think the pet damage is only like 5% or something. I'm going with nostalgia. I'm gonna try to make him look. He was pretty green. Not. No idea. I think it was just black. I don't remember the stubble. Was there always stubble? I think I have to go with the stubble. Stubble it is. I don't know. Yeah, that'll work. Hunter, yeah, I should break this down. Hunter, absolute best leveling and farming class. You have tracking, which lets you see pretty much any type of creature. You have to select the type, but you can see them on your map, which is really nice for PvP. You're not going to get into raids as easily. I mentioned before the bias against hunters in groups and raids, just because it only takes a small number of them that don't know how to put their pet on passive before people are just like, yeah, no, we're not doing a hunter. And if they already have one, they're definitely not going to want a second one. Like, they got to be pretty desperate to let like 2 hunters in a 5-man group. But warlocks, you know, everybody likes a warlock. They like the soulstone. They like the summoning. Like, you bring utility, or convenience is probably a better word. But the feign death in raids is so powerful. Just being able to completely wipe yourself off of the aggro table, wipe all your threat and start over again, that is really sweet. Seen more than one person with way better gear than me just lose their shit in raid chat because they can't attack anymore, but like hunter in the crap gear gets to keep going, and it's just not fair. Thing is, in raids, you don't... This may have changed, or, you know, more skilled... I was in casual raiding guilds. I liked the raiding, but, like, the hardcore raiding guilds, you had to be serious, and people were, I don't know, very, very intense, you know, not at my level. But playing with friends, like, you weren't as successful, but, like, when you did succeed, it felt that much more awesome. One nice thing, I do recommend engineering with a hunter, just because it allows you to bring the potential of some utility to the raid. Like, the raid's gonna wipe, a lot of times the hunter will just feign death. It's like, you know, alright guys. And then after everybody's dead, you pop up again, and you just sit around and wait for everybody to be brought back to life. But if you got the goblin jumper cables, you have a chance of being able to shock one of the people who can res back to life, and then they can bring the whole raid back. You know, you do that once as a hunter, you know, you are well loved. It is almost worth it just for that, and, you know, that stuff is fun too. Being able to tame lots of different pets is really cool, and in vanilla, it, like, actually, like, if you tamed the named beasts, they were, if I recall, a little bit better or a little bit larger. Like, there was actually a point to it. And the Hunter Epic Demon Quest is one of the coolest things I ever did in gaming, which is just these series of quests where you're basically fighting a raid boss by yourself, and you got to go out and find them in the world, and they are crazy tough, and you have to use these ridiculous strategies. Like, there's one up north, and if you get within like 20 or 25 yards of him, he puts a dot on you that will kill you in about 10-15 seconds. So you literally can never get that close, or you instant cast a death spell on you. But if you don't damage him every 5 or 10 seconds, something like that, with direct damage, he'll just reset. So you basically have to kite him. Not Wintergrass, a cold place north of Ogremar. Been too long. You basically have to kite him through, and to do that, like, and of course, this guy walks around in an area that is just packed on all sides by mobs. And sorry, I thought that 2 was a 7 in my live chat. Suddenly started to get concerned. So you had to basically carve your way through by killing all the mobs in a path to get that you would then kite him through to get him back to the road, because you basically are just nickeling and diming him and staying out of range. You also have to stay on aspect of the cheetah the whole time, which means if you take any damage, you get slowed, he gets within range, and you die. So you can't take any damage while you're doing it from him or anybody else, or you're dead. You have to tap him like every 5 seconds or something. And you have to stay within, 35 yards or whatever, depending on your spec, to be able to shoot him. So you have to master this thing called the jump shot, where you're running away, and you jump in the air, turn, shoot him, and then get turned again so you don't lose any momentum and end up getting killed by him. And you have to... And this is just one of the things you had to do, and this wasn't really even the hardest one. And the reason you would do this Hunter Epic Demon Quest is, I forget, I believe you get a thing from the chest of Major Domo, like a sacred bark or leaf or something, and then you need something else from Onyxia, and then it opens up the quest line. And these quest lines, like these things were just like, you'd be working on them for weeks and months and hundreds of gold trying to make them happen. And they were difficult. And if anybody, you can't even use your pet on these 100 Epic Demon Quests. And if anybody helps you, if anybody else, basically if anybody else other than you is on that demon's aggro table, they just despawn and the fight's over. You get nothing. And they might not be back for a while. And you don't know where they're going to reappear, and you got to find them again. And once you find them, you got to... And this one paths. So, like, sometimes he stands, but, like, you basically got to, like, find him, carve a path, drag him out through that path with all the aforementioned complications. And these are the kind of things that made vanilla amazing. Because once you got through all that... and the thing you were doing it for is you got your special bow and staff, the Lordakar and Rodakar. Like, these were major status symbols. If you were, you could stand by the mailbox in Orgrimmar with these things, like, you know, well, I mean, obviously later, they weren't as, when Blackwing Lair gear was out there and all that, you know, tier 2 and tier 3 pieces started showing up. It wasn't so impressive, but there was a time where you had your, like, Hunter Epic Demon Quest, like, staff and bow. You were on top of it. And then if you had your tier 2 helm to go with it, that was some status. But, anything else with the hunter that's really relevant? Really good in PvP. Really useful. Like, being able to track people, really useful. And you can actually change your tracking so that you don't look like a human anymore. So if people are tracking humans, you can block that. I mean, now hunters have all kinds of tricks. They have the flare that can reveal stealth people. They have one of their tracking things is actually just increased stealth detection. They have a wing clip. They got all kinds of traps. Real fun in PvP. They have if you spec for it, you got a range of 41 yards as opposed to like 30 or 35 as most classes. So like in raids, it's kind of nice to be able to stand 6 yards further back than everybody else. So hunters are just awesome. Like, the only hate on the most of the haters hate on the hunters is because they are just a little too awesome at a little bit too many things. So what class next? Wait, what? Okay. I guess they're limiting us to 3. Well, I wonder if I go in the... I wanted to save a slot on this, but I think I'm not gonna. You know what? There's no harm. I'll go through the other classes here. Okay. Rogue. Rogues are a special kind of fun that no other class gets. Now, yes, druids can stealth and they can do some kind of roguey stuff, but if you just like trolling people, nothing is more fun than a rogue. You can just like ruin a person's day without even killing them. I'm not saying that's like the ultimate feature of the rogue. The rogue is, they do really good damage. They solo pretty well. A lot of times where other classes will just have to cut through like a bunch of mobs to get to the thing they want, they can just like stealth in and get to it. Like, so there's a lot of advantage to the rogue. They don't have the self-healing, and they're not typically good at fighting more than one thing at a time, except when, you know, like cooldowns are up and stuff. But they're great in PvP, and they are very good in raids. But like melee DPS wasn't treated all that well in vanilla, so there's a lot of things. I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head, but there are a lot of things that aren't so great about being melee DPS. But as a rogue, I would definitely go undead. Just the what do you call it? The Will of the Forsaken. letting you break fear and stuff like that. Really great in PvP. Yes, but and I don't know. Let's look at a. I'm not sure if rogues can use axes. That might have been a later. Wait a minute. Rogue. I don't know. I just don't. Well, the berserking is nice for like boosting your damage when you're hitting a bunch of cooldowns. More damage versus beast is kind of nice. Not remember the increased regeneration. That might almost make it worth being a warrior, but not quite. But the increased, I'm thinking it's almost better to be a troll rogue. But trolls just look so goofy. They just do. I don't like them. But also, it's the size difference. If you're planning on PvPing, I would definitely say undead rogue. Priest. Again, I kind of like the undead for the priest for the Will of Forsaken. Sometimes, again, not having to breathe for a while is helpful, but there's also cast speed. I saw a lot of roll priests, but it doesn't seem like any of their racials really work all that well with it. Oh, that's just these two. So yeah, if you're choosing between an undead and a troll priest, I'd definitely say undead. Now priests are fairly miserable to level. There are some specs you can do where once you get a decent wand, that it's not too bad, and it's actually possible, but it's actually really hard to heal if you're not spec'd for that. And that's what you're going to be doing in raids. If you think you're going to be doing like the Shadow Priest thing in raids, and you can't. Again, this is the whole like once everybody's overgeared and you got it on farm, yeah, you can do stuff like that. But if you're a priest, you're going to be in a raid, and you are way more powerful than the other healers. And that's the thing with the shaman and the druids. They don't actually heal all that well compared to the priest. The priest is just the powerhouse. They do bring other utility, and chain heal is really nice, and but the number one healer is the priest. Head and shoulders above. So, and again, like I was saying with the warrior. Try to find a friend that you can level with, because doing it by themselves is kind of rough. Mage. Mage is a lot of fun. I did do a troll mage. And I'm not sure. Definitely wouldn't. I don't think you can, no. I might do Troll Mage again, just because they have the Berserking. And the Orcs basically have nothing. And at this point in the game, the Mages don't have pets. And I thought that was melee damage. It might just be attack power. I'm certain it's not spell power. Oh yeah, that's pretty much out. I mean, you pretty much have... You could do an undead mage. I would say the undead mage is like if you're going to do PvP, because not having berserking on something like a 90-second cooldown or something. It's not that long. And berserking's really nice in raids because I believe the amount of increase is somehow proportional to the amount of damage you've taken. But again, the mage is actually really fun to level. I like leveling the mage. being able to keep things at arm's length and, you know, just kind of wear them down. Like, it's a very, very tactical leveling. If you're just like, I just want to blow things up, run in and blow things up, you can do that with fire, but frost is your raid spec. You are, I mean, they would sometimes, if you're under geared and they're just like, we're taking somebody, and you're not going to be doing that much damage anyway, they'll let you in with like other specs. But your best raid utility and threat control and basically overall damage is going to be in Frost. And I like leveling Frost because if you spec right and you have like okay gear, you can herd things up and just kill many, many things at the same time. And that, it may not be that much faster, but it's definitely funner. And in the raid, in vanilla, Ice Block was specific to Frost. So you only got it if you were Frost. And Ice Block was kind of cool because you would just freeze wherever you were at, whether you were in the air or not. Not sure why that's so cool. Just is. But yeah, I think I'd definitely go Troll again for Mage. And I think that's everything. Oh, Shaman. Shamans are terrible. Don't play one. Not worth it. Okay, see you guys later. No, I'm kidding. Shaman have, the totems have a lot of raid utility. If you're going to be in a raid, you are basically going to be a totem monkey who heals. That's your job. I did that at one point. Not in vanilla though. No, I guess I didn't have it quite as bad, but yeah, I had the best raid guild I was in when we downed Ragnaros. We had our raid group was 4 hunters and a shaman, and he was just there to like keep us from dying and buff our damage. So like it, there's a lot of classes where you got to take one for the team. There's a lot of what I would call designated drivers in the group where, yeah, they're there, they're kind of having fun, just not quite as much fun as everybody else. But, you know, group success is fun too. Shaman, I can't remember what it was like to level a Shaman. I might not have actually leveled one until Burning Crusade. So I can't really say, but I know their class quests are a pain in the ass. Oh, did I miss? I don't think the mage really has much of any class quests. The druid, holy crap, the druid has class quests. Yeah, I guess I should cover the druid. Druids are a lot of fun. Just having the versatility to do things. The problem is you're not really great at anything, and your raid slot is healer. You're definitely not going to be doing range DPS, and your melee DPS is just abysmal. They called them Oomkin, O-O-M, as an out of mana, as a joke, or what do they call it, mage chicken. But you're not DPSing as a druid in a raid unless, like I said, have it on farm. The fun with the druid is being able to do stealth runs. Like if you get a group, 5-man, and you just have a druid and rogues, you can like sneak past trash and take out bosses. They didn't have a whole lot of stuff in place to prevent that, and there wasn't that much to take advantage of, to be honest. So it's not like you were gaining that much, but like just the feeling like you're getting away with something, pretty fun. But yeah, you have to be. This is the one Tarn that I'm gonna have, just because there is no other choice. At least you can change in other forms. I'm not sure if it's in this version that's coming out, but you didn't used to be able to talk to NPCs unless you were in humanoid form. But I didn't do that much with the druid in vanilla. They got fun later. They're really good for farming in vanilla. I do remember that, being able to go into travel form, and I believe even in vanilla you could harvest herbs while in travel form. And that is a big advantage. That's a good advantage once you hit level 60 for farming. They can be good in PvP. It's just that versatility of a healer who can stealth. You know, there's tactical stuff there. Well, I think that's everything. Hopefully this has informed you in some way of what you want to choose. Just gotta remember, you know, raid utility, farming, leveling. There's overlap in the farming and leveling, but usually if your raid utility is really high, you're gonna not have a good time leveling. I mean, there are a lot of people who level all the way just in dungeons, but remember, there's no dungeon finder here. So unless you got a regular group, getting groups together, just getting a group, it's harder to get a group together for a dungeon than it would be to just complete several dungeons in like current WoW. That's the difference. But when you do, what you get is worth more. And oh, don't expect a whole lot of like greens and blues. Like, you might see a green, I mean, unless they've changed the loot table significantly, you might see a green by like level 15. And if you're really lucky, you'll see a blue drop before level 30. And if you plan on seeing an epic drop before level 60, I got some bad news for you. And even at 60, they're only dropping off bosses. I mean, there are world drops, there are some cool pieces, but these are like 1% of 1% of like 1% stuff. So don't count on it. But I am really looking forward to the game. Can't wait to start playing. I will be starting on my Warlock, and I will be streaming. Catch you all later.